study.
Okay, that is.
But in the same area?
Close to the same.
Got 35. I was going to try to get all the nefarious business done real quick.
It's on. It went. It came back on.
All right. I think we need to start this party. What do y'all think? Okay, today is Tuesday. It is September 9th at 6 o'clock. This is the Planning Commission meeting. Anybody that can, please rise. We're going to say a quick prayer, and then Nick's going to pull off the pledge for us today. God, we just thank you so much as we round off towards the end of this year, God. We just appreciate the opportunity to get to live in Ocean Springs. Help us to make good, wise decisions to help her continue to be the desirable city that she is. It's in your name that we pray. Amen.
All right, since we don't really have a flag, yeah, we'll pretend. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank y'all. Let's call this meeting to order. If you don't mind putting your phones, watches, and beeping devices on silent, that would be much appreciated. We do have some changes to the agenda, just making sure everybody notes that. Item 4B was going to be a short-term rental on Lafayette Circle. That has been deferred at least until the October 14th meeting, as well as item E, which was going to be the Holly Grove subdivision. That's the one in between Paps and Government Street. That has also been deferred at least until the November meeting. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So not even next month, but probably the month after. Yeah.
Correct.
All right.
November.
So if you are here for either Lafayette Circle short-term rental or the Holly Grove subdivision, we will not be hearing it. You're welcome to hang out, or you're welcome to head on out at your leisure. Do I have a motion to accept the amended agenda?
So moved.
Motion Kevin, second Marshall. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Okay, you got it. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, we're on the second item.
So, motion to accept the agenda as present, or as amended, was by Kevin, second by Marshall. All in favor? All opposed, so we will not be hearing those tonight. Moving on, first official item of business is the approval of the minutes from the August 12th, 2025 meeting. Did everybody review? Does anybody have any comments?
No. I motion to accept the minutes from August 12th, 2025 as it's submitted.
I have a motion from Jennifer.
Just one simple one. I think Marshall made the seconding on the first item.
On the Spring Plaza.
The motion was made under item 2, approval of minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that right?
Oh, okay.
Kevin, seconded by Joseph. Oh, yeah.
I'll correct
Yes.
it.
Joseph, you came back from retirement to accept the minutes last week, huh?
It's been a long week, sorry about
Yeah, that's
that.
fine. Okay, so Jennifer, you want to revise your motion to allow to change the seconded by Joseph to confirm the actual second being Marshall?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept with the checking of who seconded the approval of minutes. Do I have a second? Second. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Second by Kevin, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are good with the minutes. No old business, so we are down to new business. It actually says election of officers first. Do we want to go ahead and do that? Okay. So did everybody get voting ballots in your packets? They should have been on the back covers. There was 2 in case there's a tie, but we only need to fill out 1. Put the number 1 with the chairman, the number 2 with the vice chair, and the number 3 with the secretary, please. And kind of fold them in half and hand them to Elizabeth. Pressure's on. And Elizabeth, you want us to carry on, or do you want
I think Amanda is actually gonna go ahead and,
to open them up?
yep,
Okay.
that way we can just get it all.
hope that O'Connor guy wins. Spell my name wrong.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not probably I barely remember your name's Kevin. It's all right.
Just look over and like that guy.
ChatGPT got my name wrong. I'm serious. O'Connor.
Yeah, I apologize for the misspelling. We just had a spelling that as well. Our intern has been knocking this.
No big deal.
Sales
All
person.
three of us.
He's been called worse before, we're all sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was doing something. I typed in Kevin, I spelled it right, and everything, changed it to Kevin. You can't get my name right, but I told it what my name was.
Time to do a logo. You say, this is the name, man. You spelled it wrong. You spelled it wrong. It worse.
And then,
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
All right, so Chairman, Andy.
Okay.
Vice Chair, Kevin. And Secretary is Marshall.
Okay, so we have Chairman Andy, Vice Chair Kevin, Secretary Marshall.
Yes.
Do we want to make a motion probably? Do we have a motion to accept the, what's the word I'm looking for? Board as.
Accept the results?
Yeah.
Motion to accept the results?
All right, motion by Kevin to accept, second Marshall, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Congratulations to the extreme burden placed on all of us. All right, skipping item 4B was the short-term rental on Lafayette. Sorry, I went to school at Ole Miss and it's Lafayette County, but we go to Lafayette to play football. So we're going down to item 4C. This will be a public hearing for Dyad Realty, LLC, Beanville Boulevard, parcel ID number 601-275-90050. They are requesting a zoning change from CH Regional Commercial, is that regional or is that highway commercial?
It's regional.
Okay. CH Regional Commercial to M1 Manufacturing and Warehousing. Do I have a motion to go to public hearing?
So moved.
I got a motion by Kevin. I heard Clay. You want the second?
That's fine.
All right. Motion Kevin, second Clay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are in a public hearing. Amanda, if you want to tell us a little bit about it?
I will. Okay, so we are located on the south side of Beanville, in between Hall's Motorsports and right beside the medical complex that has the Science Clear Evade Center. There's a gravel driveway that leads back to the back side of this property. The property is approximately 5.18 acres. It currently sits vacant. The map is located on page 4 of your packet. The property is currently zoned CH, as Andy mentioned. The properties to the north and east are currently zoned CH, and the properties that abut it on the south and west are zoned M1. The M1 district consists of light industrial uses that are incompatible with primary corridor activities and residential uses due to noise and traffic and outdoor storage. With the M1 district, there's not a lot minimum size standard. There is a lot width minimum of 100 foot wide. The maximum building height is 2 stories, not to exceed 50 foot. The front and side setbacks are 5 feet, and the rear setback is 10. The property does currently conform with the current zoning and will also conform to the proposed M1 zoning district. We've received 1 letter of support that came from 3631 Beanville, which is across the street, the Mississippi Eye Associates, in your packet as well. Besides that, we have not received any other public comment. There is a site plan in your packet as well that shows proposed future use. I do believe the applicant is here to answer any additional questions that I have.
Before we go to the applicant, if only for the benefit of the newer people, rezonings, a couple of notes. One, they do have to be based on changing character of the neighborhood and/or a mistaken original zoning, demonstrated public need and compliance with the comprehensive plan as well. The way Ocean Springs does rezonings is the rezoning goes with the property, not the project. So while we're likely to hear what this could or couldn't be tonight, just keep in mind that any use could be allowed on that property and it would remain zoned for the NetSky if it was ever sold. So any questions from any board members before we call for the applicant to speak on rezonings? Everybody good?
I got a question.
Yes.
Planning staff. So, sorry, I didn't do my research ahead of time. So what conceivably can be done in M1 that cannot be done in CH?
Typically your light industrial uses, the outdoor storage, anything that has the utilities.
But does not, you can also do that in CH though, can't you?
But also too, in M1, you could have a metal building, and it is allowed by right, where in a CH, some
can't have
sites
metal building.
have to be facaded a different
Right.
way versus M1, he can just have, I don't know if that's what he's planning on doing, but
Right.
he can have just a metal building and he doesn't have to have fascia or anything on the sides like that.
So we're pretty much going from a less restricted use to a more restricted use, the M1. However, the design standards are less in M1 than they are in CH.
Yes, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going from the heaviest of the commercial uses to the
Right.
lightest of the industrial uses. I was gonna see if I could find a chart real quick.
But it changes the design standards of the building. Okay.
Okay, any other questions for staff or comments before we pull the applicant up to speak?
So there's only one person that, when y'all sent out the notices, that sent it back?
That's it. Yes, ma'am.
That was actually a favorable comment, which is
Yes,
not
they were
always.
forward. They had no problem with the zoning change.
How do y'all let everybody know? Do y'all let all the neighbors know? Like, how do you figure out who all you gonna?
500-foot buffer that we do send letters out. It's publicly advertised on the website, and there's also newspaper publications
And a sign.
and a sign posted on the property.
Anything else?
Thank you.
All right, I think I see the applicant back there. Did you want to open up the floor? Name and address, or name and ward number at the microphone, please.
Hussein's Ed, 3704 Gable Boulevard,
Can you speak up just a little bit?
Hussein's Ed, 3704 Gable Boulevard, Ward 5.
Okay.
Could you speak into the microphone? We can't hear you.
Hussein's Ed.
Oh, that's why the mic's not on.
Sorry.
Somebody tried, I didn't turn it off, somebody turned it off.
Hussein's Ed, 37, is it working? Hussein's 3704 Gable Boulevard, Ward 5.
Okay, if you don't mind, just tell us a little bit about the project, what you see in the neighborhood that makes you think it warrants an M1 rezone.
Okay, so currently I'm a boat builder. I own a property on 1001 Ocean Springs Road behind Woody's there. And my issue is I've outgrown my current spot, and my biggest issue is my height. My building wasn't built tall enough for what I do. And we've owned this property for close to 20 years now. And we just wanted to see about moving down there so we could redevelop that property where I currently am and kind of turn that more into a medical type use. Since we're off the road, we figured it would kind of be better served for what I do, because I don't have much drive-by traffic in my business or anything like that.
Gotcha.
So we build boats, we do all our service and stuff like that in-house.
Okay, and so what do you see in the neighborhood of this property that makes you think that industrial is the correct one? I do see you had, the reason for the request in our packet is several surrounding adjacent properties have the M1. Plan to move current operations, which is classified as M1, with the intention of redeveloping current location to medical professional space. So just the fact that other properties around there already have industrial zones and industrial uses?
Yeah, there's no clarification that if I can do what I'm currently doing in CH, we're not really sure. There's nothing that spells it out, so I just figured to kind of cover my bases. Now, if what I'm doing now is okay in CH, then I have no problem not rezoning it. But there's really no clarification on that, so if we could get, if what I'm doing now is fine there, then I have no problem not rezoning it, but it seems to be, I mean, from what I understand, I would need to be M1, and I'm surrounded by M1, and we own the property to the east of it as well, that outlets it to the, all the way to the water tower.
Okay. Anybody got any questions for him?
You said you had, it was the building height that you needed?
Yeah, so our problem is our height.
Right.
So right now, my building has 16-foot sidewalls, and we have to pull the boats out of the molds. And we've come out with a couple new models that require some more height. And my problem is I can't get the boats out of the molds. I have to bring them outside to do that, and that's just not
So what's the height that
feasible.
you need on the building?
Just like a 2 to 4 more feet. So like 18
So that would
to
fit
24.
inside of M1?
I believe it was 50. I would be half that.
Yeah, but the way it's currently zoned, you can do 6 stories. I mean, so yeah, currently zoned, you could do a lot higher, than what you're asking for.
Right. It's just, like I said, there's no real clear, there's boat building or, there's boat services under C1, boat storage, I'm not sure if it was, or CH. There's really no, boat building isn't listed on this there.
So there's heavy consumer goods, which is probably boats may fall under, which is a permitted use in M1. I'm sorry, I already got off of it, but not in CH. So I could see that being no, actually it is permitted in CH, sorry. Okay.
And honestly, the building, right now, we're right next door to Warriors, and I mean, we've never had any issues. This house is right across the street from us, right across from the railroad tracks where we currently are.
Right.
Yeah, we normally operate 6:30 or 7 in the morning to 5. We're not making much noise at night or anything like that. All our compressors are inside.
But it may be a little bit less at the new location.
It would actually probably be less obstructive because we'll have a bigger building, so we can kind of keep stuff going inside. Right now, we've got stuff outside. We're out of space, and we're well out of space.
Let's go to the audience, and we'll get you a chance if we need to at the end to kind of rebut and have the last word. Anybody else in the audience here to speak to the rezoning request? Name and ward number at the microphone, please.
Vincent Burke. I'm in Ward 4. I also own in the zone shop here, which is right in front of it. It's a commercial. We're licensed for 320 children that will play right next door to their fence every day. So I am extremely opposed to this any way that's going to be industrial, and worried for environmental reasons. And you can see from the storm ditch that goes directly into this property. Who knows what could drain into the water source. So we worry about that. We worry about the noise for our children that are out there playing. We worry about them during nap time. They nap from 12 to 2 every day. So that's our gist of our opposition there, our reason for opposition. And outside of that, if it's licensed for that or it's currently zoned for that, I mean, it is what it is if it's zoned for that. If you have to rezone it, we oppose it 100%. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else in the audience here to speak to the rezone from CH to M1 for the Bienville Boulevard property? Anybody else in the audience? Did you want to say anything else?
So the way our current building is built now, we have a lean-to, and one side of the building is completely closed off. And right now, I think there's a pretty good buffer in the ditch there. And I mean, our plan was to do basically our back wall would be towards that ditch, and then everything would face towards the railroad tracks. Which I mean, there's no way I'm as loud as the train going by there as well. But right now, everything is going that way, and that's the exact, I mean, I think I did a drawing there to show, but the building will face, there'll be a lean-to facing the railroad tracks, so everything towards Highway 90 would basically just be a wall there. So we would have the building set, there it is there, so you can see the wetlands and the line there, so we're, I think, about 90 feet off of the property line there. And we've been good neighbors. I mean, we've never, like I said, we've never had issues. I had a guy living on Stillman Lane, literally. We ended up buying the property from him after he passed, but I mean, he was from here to the TV.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Are you gonna keep that 90 feet wooded?
Yeah, we're not gonna clear anything. So if you go there now, you can kind of see, I mean, it falls off there. That ditch is very, I mean, that's all wetlands. I can't be.
We can see that.
We won't clear, we want to keep a buffer. I don't want to disturb anybody. We don't want bad neighbors. I mean, that's.
Okay. I would encourage y'all to, regardless of how this goes, to keep the conversation going, but we're gonna keep moving forward. Anybody else? That was rebut already called for. Do I have a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
All right, I have a motion by Marshall. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, so Michael, we are out of public hearing. What are y'all's questions and thoughts? I guess I'll start with a question to Amanda. Have you looked at this enough? Can you say what you think it would fall under on our chart here? And have you determined if the rezoning is necessary for his use?
I think I'm discussing it with the applicant, being that he does fabricating boats and the fiberglass, the smell and things like that. It would feel, I feel like it would fit better in one zoning, just because it is, you know,
Manufacturing.
concept.
Because of manufacturing.
Because of manufacturing and the fiberglass and actually building the boats, where it seemed like to me might be a better fit.
Straight across the railroad tracks is a residential area, which is, you know what I'm saying, that's where homes are. I can see a home on the, you know, on our picture on page 5, sort of straight across the railroad tracks. Do you have an idea of how far that is? Maybe 150 or 100 feet or so?
Is there anything there's nothing on the north side of Paps though, right?
No, it's actually right across the tracks.
And it's zoned like there's like a tree service company there, you used to have the Elders there, I mean, it's kind of the same.
But that railroad should have 100-foot right-of-way, and then the road right-of-way should be another, maybe it's an old road, maybe only 40, but I would suspect you have at least 140 feet of right-of-way before you get to those homes. Between the railroad and the city road.
I'm curious about how the zoning is. I mean, we're saying it's close to some other M1 zones, and to the east, that is true. There's that little sliver, there's a little small triangle there that's an M1. I'm curious why it's actually an M1, because it's such a small place.
That I do not know how long it's been zoned M1. That is just what the current zoning map did show that it's M1, but I would have to go back and do research to see at what point in time if I can determine when that got rezoned.
For me, it's unfair that we're calling that an M1, you know what I mean, a neighborhood, because it's such a small spot that I'm not sure what kind of manufacturing could ever be done there.
Well, you do have, the little triangle, of course. You do have the warehouses just to the west, the water tower to the east. There's not a whole lot, I mean, the whole area south of there through Paps is zoned M1, but there's no really usable land there. So the warehouses to the west are probably the most indicative of industrial type use. And then the motorsports, I don't know, they probably fit in a CH, or they're already in CH, I'm sorry.
Right.
The water tower is colored green on page 4.
Green's public.
Green's
I
public.
mean, you got, so the water tower, and then you have a little lay down yard right beside the water tower, and then you have the, I'm gonna say, not community
You
center.
wouldn't call it M1 though, right? You wouldn't call it M1 like.
The lay down in the water tower is more indicative of N1 than the actual, it's not the community center, help me out here, I'm just drawing a blank up there.
It's the Civic Center and all
Civic
that.
Center, thank you, that's the word I was looking for,
Right.
was civic, yeah, so,
Is there other place, like, if you looked at the whole map today, is there other M1 places that are open that this business could go to?
That I have not looked at, to be honest.
I mean, the problem with that question, like, is there lots that we would work on? Absolutely. Are they for sale?
I understand.
It's an availability issue more than a do they exist type issue. So again, on this on the rezoning, what we needed to establish is, I don't think anybody's claiming it was a mistake in original zoning, so, if y'all agree with me, we can throw that one out. So it's just, is there a change in character of the neighborhood that would warrant having an M1? There are adjacent M1 properties. I guess I could pull my thing up. I would imagine that warehousing is allowed in both M1 and CH. Actually, warehouse and storage services are only allowed in those two. Both of them are permitted. So that's the question we have to answer. Is there a demonstrated public need? He's outgrowing his current facility, so I think we can probably say yes, there's a public need because he's not able to keep up with production. He's not able to deliver what he needs to deliver. So the question is, our charge would be, is there a demonstrated change in character of the neighborhood? And if the attorney and/or Amanda, if y'all want to add or subtract anything I just said, please do, by all means.
That's been the same.
You got something, Jennifer?
I'm just trying to see what's changed around there like recently. Because I know the adjacent to the north, that stuff, that's been changing a little bit, but it hadn't changed in M1.
It's kind of going the other way, it feels like.
What you have adjacent's always been M1.
Everything along those tracks on the north
Everything on
side
that is
is
M1.
M1, except for that piece of property up to the public land. Everything facing Bienville is CH.
This does seem to be the only property that's set back. Just typically, the railroad does carry an industrial zoning, as a lot of, this is probably not one, but a lot of them need a shoreline connection to a railroad for their manufacturing. Anybody else got any thoughts? Change in character of the neighborhood?
Yeah, I'm thinking that probably the best way forward, in my opinion, keep it CH. I think you can accomplish everything you're trying to do. I think you can still do what you need to do and build boats. You'll have more leniency on the height of the structure and things like that. If there comes down to like design requirements of like having to have a brick front or whatever there is like that, I would come back and ask for an exception for those instead of trying to get this rezoned, because I really can't justify a change in the character, and I really can't justify an original mistake in the zoning.
So,
which are the two things we're looking for. But I think you can accomplish what you need to accomplish with the way it's currently zoned.
I mean, that's my goal. Is, we tried to sell the property over the years. It's off the 90s, so
yeah.
To get to it, you have to. I mean, there's really no access other than right there off that little finger. So it's set off. It's not.
Yeah, it's a flag lot. So yeah.
It's pretty much landlocked except for that one little finger.
What is it currently?
The Franklin doesn't go down to it.
There's a right of way or an easement
Yeah.
there, which years ago I was told that if we maintained it, we could have rear access from there. It's a pretty good ways there, which we honestly, we would probably want that rear access eventually to get trucks through there and out without them turning around and coming out to 90.
So piggybacking off of what you're talking, and Amanda, you tell me your opinion on this, and she brought up the manufacturing aspect, but I do see that there is a conditional use option for, it just says miscellaneous manufacturing. I think it would fit under miscellaneous manufacturing. There is a conditional use option, which that means you would have to come back to us later to get that approved. But it would be allowed in the CH to do manufacturing if you get the conditional use side of it. So even if it wasn't rezoned, you do have that argument. It's not a permitted use like it would be. You would have to come back and get the conditional use permit approved, but it could be held in that CH. You agree with that? I'm adding on to your comment a little bit.
Yeah. Do you know what your current lot where you are currently operating, do you know what that's zoned?
M1.
That's M1?
One as
Okay.
well, but it's honestly, there's houses all the way
Yeah.
across there.
And that's the only M1 sitting right there. It's standalone.
And honestly, we would be open to swapping those zoning if we were allowed to. Because our plan is to develop that more into medical type of professional space.
Yeah,
It feels much more.
the tough thing we run into is we're not zoning for what you do specifically. We're zoning for, now and forever. And unless we have one of those two criteria met, changing character or a mistake in the zoning, our hands are really tied in what we can do.
And I understand that. Like you said, the conditional use is better, and I'll be happy to work with my neighbors to have them approve anything that we would be doing. Like I said, we don't want. We've owned this property for 20 years. We haven't had a really good use for it, and we figured, look, I'm right in the middle. Right where I am now is much more valuable for it.
Yeah.
So we take a professional space compared to where I am now, so I figured I'll move there and use all that space there.
I think it's a great idea, the whole thing in general. It's just what we're allowed to do. And
Would this not be considered a mistake in zoning? I mean, it's along the tracks, everything.
You can make the argument.
Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parcels right along the tracks, right before this along Franklin, that are. That's the only one until you hit the public land. I mean, you have a couple on the other side of those 7. From Franklin Road, you got about 3, but they front Franklin or they run all the way to Bienville.
yeah, I'd be inclined to say yes if we weren't going from a less restrictive to a more restrictive zoning. But since we're going from a less restrictive to a more restrictive, that's why I kind of say, and especially for that lot, that's a flag lot off of 90, up against the tracks, kind of buried behind everything. I would tend to think that a less restrictive zoning would be more appropriate than a more restrictive zoning. That's just my thought process.
So there's not a whole lot that is allowed in M1 that's not allowed in CH, but to kind of play on Vincent's concern, the boat may or may not be as detrimental to you, but then it is allowing for like chemicals, metals, machinery, and electronics manufacturing. That probably could be a lot more whatever, as well as, and this says wood, paper, printing products. I assume that means production of. So there are some uses that would probably be more impactful than what he's proposing. I don't know which way it's going to go. If it doesn't get approved tonight, and you do want the conditional use, I would recommend you and Vincent get together and have a conversation and tell them, invite them over to what you're already doing, show them how it works. I mean, you're willing to do something like that. But you haven't lost yet, so let's keep talking. But if you do, we can go that way, and there would be the option. And Amanda, do you agree that the miscellaneous manufacturing is probably the? Okay.
Yeah. I
And
see
so
it.
that you see the conditional use, I'm not misspeaking, I'm not misguiding, great.
I see it.
Okay. All right, so we have a rezoning on the table. We need to approve either a mistaken original zoning or changing character. Does anybody have any further discussion? And if not, does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll say, Nick, if you want to say it's a mistaken original zoning, I can be convinced.
I'll make a motion. I'll recommend approval of the rezoning of BMville from CH Regional to M1 Manufacturing.
And Nick, your motion is based on the mistake in the original?
Yes, being that it's along the tracks, most everything there, I understand that he can probably do it anyway with the CH. I'm just looking at everything on this bigger map here, and it just looks,
Yeah, you're talking about on the page 11.
It's on the.
she's got a big,
The zoning.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking at some.
And if I'm not mistaken, do you have the color? You had the color one up just to the right.
We put the color one back up?
Yeah.
Like most of the M1s follow along the railroad tracks.
Yeah. Well, that's
Those
very.
gray lots to the left, there's about 5 or 6 more that way.
I was going to say, I think
would all be zoned.
maybe, and I could be wrong, but I
Here
think
by the industrial park, yeah, along railroad track too.
I think that little corner southeast of the PUB is also in one. I can't swear to it. It's not shown on this map, but that may be public as well. I'm not sure. Okay, so I have a motion on the floor from Nick to make a recommendation to approve the rezoning based on a mistake in the original zone. Do I have a second on that?
Second that.
My second by Michael. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Opposed? Did I hear none opposed? Or opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay, Clay had opposed. I thought I heard one. All right, so that will carry with 5 to 1. So that will that be another public hearing?
Yes.
So we'll skip the next week's meeting, and that will be heard on the October 7th council meeting. So, good. All right, next item is going to be item 4D. This is a public hearing for Crosspoint Capital LLC, Groveland Road, PIDN 601-230-40000, requesting sketch plat approval of a 33-lot subdivision, Groveland subdivision. And it says Jesse, I think that's Jesus, right? Sadeka? Okay. All right, so do I have a motion to go to public hearing?
Okay.
Motion Nick, second Marshall, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, we are in a public hearing. Mandy, you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yep. Okay, so Sept property is located on the southeast corner of Groveland Road and Deanna Road. It's approximately 9.78 acres in size and is currently vacant. The zoning is R3. That was approved on May 2nd, 2023. The reason I mentioned that, if you look on your zoning map, it still shows R2. I had to look that up, so it was zoned to R3,
When
May
you s-
2nd of 2023.
May 2nd,
That
2023.
That wasn't updated. The property to the north is zoned R2. Properties to the south and east are RV2 family residential, and the property to the west is RM2 multifamily. In the R3 zoning district, the minimum lot area is 7,500 square feet. The minimum lot width is 50 foot. The rear and front setbacks are 20 feet, and the side setbacks for 10. The applicant is requesting for sketch plat approval of a 33-lot single-family residential subdivision, along with the 24-foot wide public asphalt road that will connect at Groveland Road and at Deanna Road. Proposed green space is also shown on the northwest corner. It's approximately 12,000 square feet, and that's to be used for detention and a mailbox kiosk location. All proposed lots will conform to the R3 medium density residential district. And as of tonight's meeting, no public comment has been received.
Okay. One little admin note. It says southeast corner, but it should be northwest corner, correct?
Okay, yes.
All right. And then for the benefit of the newer folks, keep in mind a sketch plat, I kind of call it a concept. We're just looking at like, hey, do you even need to start spending money on real engineering and everything? Is this going to be allowed? So we will have a sketch plat, which is again kind of a conceptual. Once they get engineering plans done, we'll have a preliminary plat, which is I don't like the word preliminary plat, but it's more of like, hey, the plans are done and we're ready to go build, so we'll get kind of a second look, and the audience will too, of course. And then they'll get it constructed, and we'll do a final plat. The final plat, I don't want to say it's a rubber stamp, but usually, unless they made wild changes along the way, the final plat. So sketch is kind of like, hey, does it fit the neighborhood? Are you kind of hitting the minimums? And then preliminary is like, hey, are we really, going to go through with this? So any questions?
It essentially passes through this commission 3 times.
It'll go through us at least 3 times, yes. Now, you can do the sketch on a preliminary. That's pretty rare on these bigger developments because you have to be done with plans before you go to preliminary.
So will roadways count? Can I bring that up tonight?
What's that? We can bring up whatever you want.
Yeah, on the right of way, on
Yeah.
the road, they have on there for 50 foot, and for R3, it should be 60 foot.
I think so. Is that right?
There's 2 places. It does have one that's 60 feet, but a minor street is 50 feet, so I don't know which one you.
We're going to let him address that when he comes up. We got the applicant representative coming up. Anything else before we bring him up? All right, name and award at the microphone, please.
Nick Gant, Brown Mitchell and Alexander, authorized agent on behalf of the applicant. Office is 131 Blue Magnolia in Biloxi, but I live in Ocean Springs, I'm in Ward 3822 Sherlock Circle. So what you have before you, sketch plat, and although it dive right into the roadways, there are 2 separate sections in the UDC. One section does mention just kind of minimal based on the classification of the roadway. There is another section that does mention specific, and it says, hey, specifically in these areas, you may want to look at a wider road. Generally what that does is allow for more on-street parking. It has a wider back and curve to back and curve. That section has, you've got your traditional 10-foot wide roadway in each direction, and then an 8 or 9 foot parking space shown on each side. Wider roadway, not really the look we're kind of going for, just this big asphalt, path through this neighborhood. The 50-foot right-of-way and roadway widths are, similar to what's existing in the developments to the west, south, and east. And that's kind of the look we were going for. That's why we rezoned. I believe it was R1, maybe? R2 originally, okay. And went to the R3 because those home sizes matched more what was kind of surrounding. So that's why we rezoned, and that's why we kind of have everything drawn in the way it is. 33 lots, these are larger than what the minimums are required for the width. We went with a little bit wider lot because there will be a little bit bigger homes based on the side yard setbacks. Answer any questions anybody may have about the development. As Angie mentioned, sketch plat concept, really just showing everybody, hey, this is what we're planning. As we kind of move forward, we may, decrease the lot line to get a little bit bigger homes. We'll go west, we can't go more, if we can't go more dense. Preliminary plans will have, we'll start conversations with the city, water, sewer, drainage, and all those things to make sure they're addressed.
Traffic study on the, that's Coming out on Dina's, I mean, you already got a couple,
That's right.
by where the old fire station was, where it's coming out?
Yes. South of there, or I'm sorry, it's north of there. Is the ball field the right north of you? The
So
immediate
just to the north is game limit. That's
Okay.
the R2 zoning. That's just to the north. Everywhere else, on either side was a kind of that more into RD or R2. Yes, there is a roadway widening project that is coming on Deer Road that will go from Ocean Springs Road all the way down to Highway 90. As part of that project, there is a 10-foot wide pathway being proposed on the west side of Deer Road. As part of the sketch plat, we are proposing to dedicate a 20-foot wide, 10 or 20-foot wide, I can't remember exactly what it was, right away to be a part of the Deer Road project to allow for the pathway to be constructed in this area.
And I'll add on that, so traditionally, if there's a road right-of-way widening project that has to happen, it needs to come from both sides, but by them giving the full 20 on theirs, that would actually save everybody on the east side from having to dedicate anything.
Those are all houses.
I've got a few questions. Amanda, has Public Works looked at this? I know we're just in the concept right now, so they'll be
Yes.
more involved, but do they have any issues with water sewer?
It was sent to all departments, it did not get any comments back from any departments. I also sent it to the other engineering firm, Overstreet, and they didn't have any comments either.
Okay. Has the fire looked at this little right turn in the northwest corner of their development yet?
It was submitted and no comments
Okay.
were.
And I know we're a little cart before the horse on it, just didn't know if there was any early ones. Nick, where did you see because I do actually see, good catch by Jennifer, it does say that the residential street standards for low density such as R1, R2, RD are the 50-foot, and for the higher density, medium density rather, it is a 60-foot.
There's 205 on the EDC.
Yeah, but where did you reference the 50-foot? Any
Off the
idea?
top of my head, I couldn't tell you where it is in UDC.
I got it, page 247,
247.
chapter 5, but it's for minor streets. It's, like, I mean, I guess if you're claiming it's a
Yeah,
minor
I can tell
streets.
people using it or,
Yeah.
the 33 houses and whoever may be visiting them, there's no through traffic, that will be traveling on this road.
And we do have setbacks, and I'm assuming garages would be here, so parking wouldn't be an issue. Me personally, I mean, we need to make sure we can do it within the ordinance, but I'm kind of along the lines of what he said. I don't want a whole lot of extra asphalt just to make them do it. I don't know that we've ever had this argument about, is this a minor street? I would say yes, and it does say 50-foot right-of-way. Pavement width is 24. The streetscape standards kind of, I don't see it saying it absolutely set in stone for all R3s. Just says, I don't know. So the streetscape standards are on 205, and what was the other one, Michael? Or Clay? I don't remember which one y'all said. 247?
257, 247.
247, chapter 5.
So if y'all want to kind of look at that and get your thoughts about you, if these were like zero lot lines or houses right on the deal and you had to park on the street, I think we would be tied to the 60-footer. But Nick, the goal would be to have driveways and
Sidewalks.
and everything.
Correct, yes. Yes, sidewalks shown, on the drawing, so they'll be along all the frontages.
Yeah, at least smaller roads does not encourage on-street parking.
I mean, a 50-foot right-of-way is generally more than sufficient for, a minor street. Most downtowns are 30s and 40s, so kind of keep that in mind. But we do need to be able to reconcile with what the ordinance says. I do think this
If you
would.
look, and don't interrupt you, but the roadway directly to the south, the subdivision to the south, we're kind of lining up with that road, and that roadway, we match that right-of-way with. So it's essentially carrying that same right-of-way width to the north.
Nice.
So I'm cleared the argument here between a 50-foot and a 60-foot roadway. Is that what we're saying?
Correct. Yeah, well, right-of-way, but yeah. Yeah, the roadway would be 8 foot wider because it would have, and that's the other thing I don't like about this streetscape is it shows parking on one side, which always creates people parking the wrong direction and everything else. I'm not wild about that to begin with. I would suspect, as long as we hang our hat on table 5-1 with the right-of-way being a minor street, I don't think anybody would argue that this is going to be an arterial. road, so I mean, I would lean towards the 50 and the 24 myself, but I'm but one vote and I only get to break ties, so.
Well, 50 feet is wider than Groveland ending.
No, for now, but yeah.
They need to be wider.
That is a fair point.
Yeah, as long as there's the, I know it's down the road on covenants, whether it's on-street parking or off, no on-street parking.
Yeah, you go sketch plat, yeah.
Haven't been gotten there yet.
And talk through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I add a comment, different comment on the, mine's really on you have the north, west corner is the open space, or what do you want to call it, green space, park space, but the way I'm reading the UDC is that 20% of the platted lot should be open space. Am I understanding that correct? Which is more like closer to 2 acres than, it's just the way I'm reading it out, the way I read it out of the UDC.
Is that the one that's park area? Which page are you on? Because I meant to ask about that already. I do see some extra area behind, and forgive my old eyes, it looks like maybe 28 and 29, that corner, that might be able to fit in flag somewhere.
And on so I'll, just kind of walk through that stormwater detention. The northwest corner will help serve some of that purpose. There is a Mississippi Power easement on the north part of this property. They have an easement of 60 feet, which is why there's a roadway there on that north side. Will be green space, there won't be anything developed there. The right of way will not necessarily go all the way to that part of the property line. Our thought there was to add some more linear detention and whatever may be required for us.
It says plus or minus 13 feet along the estuary, which I do believe easements are allowed, but what's that open space? I do think easements are allowed to be counted, correct? What page are you on, Mike?
237, I just found, there's a table in there that says residential zoning districts, including R3. It says 20% of development site area for all new subdivisions.
Yeah, the parkland.
To provide recreational opportunities for residences.
I do see that, on that page. So being that this is sketch plat, if you guys so decide to approve sketch plat, you can make that part of your motion back before they come back for preliminary plat, make sure that the 20% open space requirement is met.
Does right-of-way dedication count towards that? Because I would say, hey, we might want to take some of that back then to help meet that requirement.
I think you would need it back myself, but, because it talks about you can do perimeter type things and have trails, that kind of thing, buffer zones with trails. That makes open space.
So it also does allow, so it does say somewhere may be used for preservation of natural areas and enhancement of water quality. So they actually, is the ditch on your property?
The north-south main ditch, or?
Correct, yeah, well, realistically both. I guess my point being, I believe that they would be allowed to count that ditch on the west side towards that open space.
So that is not on this property.
That's not on, okay, never mind that idea then. But to your point, the north area, so I'm kind of with Amanda, we have the option, and Nick, you know what I'm saying, on the southeast corner, you could, even just kind of clip the lots out, have a common area right there at the corner, it kind of makes it a little easier to use anyway. So they would have some option there, but I do think we need to be heads up about it, and to Amanda's point, we can make the motion for them to confirm. I would actually kind of make it to confirm before the board approval myself. I think you said preliminary plat, but we could just have them.
That's fine.
Provided they can show that they meet the parts and open space to the board, could be an option.
Yeah, it tells right there at the end of 237 on to 238 what is counted as open space. Pretty good.
Yeah, because I think that that right of way you're talking about, I think it could be added, but it has to be designated for like a trail or with buffer zone, landscaped kind of things?
Yeah, so the right-of-way dedication on the east and south would be kind of given to the city, so no longer part of this, parcel or part of this plat. So if, that subtracts from, I guess whatever open space that we may have, we may need it. So, the city would consider, hey, whatever you're dedicating, hey, that's counts towards that.
Okay. Anything else for Nick? We'll bring you back up if we get any comments. All right, so we are still in a public hearing. Is anybody else in the audience here to speak about the 33-lot subdivision on Groveland? Name and ward at the microphone, please.
Paul Gergen, Ward 5. Really can't see the specification. Will this in any way interfere with the Dina Road expansion?
No, sir. And so if they were willing to give the 20-foot, that's what I was trying to allude to, that it would actually assist the Dina Road because they're proposing giving away 20 feet of their property to help with that
That's good,
expansion.
because we worked on that and already got a lot of the funding already set up. So.
Well, that's an interesting question too. I mean, I don't think they should be penalized. I mean, I think maybe we should consider whether or not that additional right-of-way should count towards their green
Well, they had
space.
already gone to the county and said, we need the block of money, and we got the block of money. But if this is gonna somehow negatively hurt that, you wouldn't want that, but it
Right.
sounds like it's not going to hurt it. And you're not gonna put mobile homes in there or something like that.
Correct. Yeah, I think this, with that 20-foot, I mean, it really should actually make it easier to design at least that first section. And then I guess we own gate limit up there, so we can really kind of continue that extra deal. Okay, anybody else in the audience here for the 33-lot subdivision on Groveland and Dina? All right, Nick, I assume you don't have anything to rebut on that? All right, close public hearing. Motion Marshall, second by Michael. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are out of public hearing. What other questions, comments, concerns, thoughts?
Just a general question, not a, what time would we require a neighborhood meeting? What do you call it, public meeting for
Never.
neighborhood?
It's never required. It's at the developer's discretion. And I mean, they could do that now. They could do that right before. I mean, or not at all. I was actually would have expected more people to show up today, which is, a lot of times in my business, a lot of times we wait and see how the planning commission goes before we decide, oh, they have some, so.
In the instance that they would have held a neighborhood meeting before the planning commission, we asked the developer or applicant take minutes and take note of what the meeting was about, what comments, and then submit that as part of the packet for you guys to review.
Well, that's what happened with the Holly Grove, correct? I mean, they did do a
Yes.
neighborhood, one that we just took
That's
off.
why I was
Yeah.
really
Right,
asking.
so it's not required, they took that upon themselves to.
They didn't, it wasn't checked on the lots, I guess that's.
Well, I think there was a lot of Facebook chatter that they wanted to get ahead of too, so I think it was a very good choice on their behalf. I don't mean to sound negative about it at all. That was a good move by them, but
Yeah, mine, so where's it need to be changed? Like, where does it get updated that's showing it's R3 instead of R2? Because not just in the map, even when you click on his property, it still shows as R2.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, bear with me because I'm still like 7 weeks into this, there is a company, remind me the name of the company that the city uses to update our maps.
Yeah.
So I also want to bring that.
CityWorks? I know a lot of people use
CityWorks or
CityWorks.
GCT maybe?
Okay.
And then I did make a note to let them know to change this. I'm not sure, being that I'm still new, what other ones have not been caught. So we'll try to get a hold of that. And I just found this because of the meeting, but I will see what else is out there. So I apologize for that. So I'm gonna bring it up that in case you guys look yourselves, I questioned it and had to go to Elizabeth, like, I think something's up. And then we dug and found, so I apologize for that.
That makes sense because on the map on the website, it shows that it shows all those as R2. The one to the east and the one to the south is R2.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't do that in-house.
Okay. Any other questions or comments or concerns?
ECT is the
Name of the company.
What it says, yeah.
So from what I'm hearing, the main thing we're worried about is just making sure they meet the provision for open space. So if anybody wants to make a motion and include just them verifying that before the board or before preliminary plat, that would be a good inclusion in my mind. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve it with verifying the 20% open space requirement met.
Okay. So prior to the board meeting,
Board of Aldermen.
which would be October 7th for them, or prior to preliminary plat, which would be
Preliminary plat.
I'll second that.
Okay, so I have a motion by Jennifer and a second by Michael to approve as presented, provided they verify they can meet the open space requirements before preliminary plat submittal. I have a motion by Jennifer, a second by Michael. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, so that will carry unanimous, and that will be on October 7th, correct? Skip, that's when
Correct.
public hearing.
Yes.
Any questions, Nick? Not your first rodeo. All right, item 5 is general public comment. If anybody in the audience wants to speak to any non-agenda items, now would be a good time to do that. Just name and ward number at the microphone, please.
Hello, my name is Haley Hill. I'm in Ward 4 in Stark Bayou, 301A Breezy Hill Lane. If you would just kind of entertain me just for a minute, more questions and kind of learning how the process works.
Sure.
I'm just kind of observing how you guys are evaluating these sketch plat proposals, kind of what the criteria. It seems like very strict criteria for rezoning requirements. Either has to be deemed a mistake in a prior zoning designation, or changing the characteristics of the surrounding neighborhood. When it comes to sketch plat proposals, the only really questions that I heard today, like objective questions, I would say, is does it meet the zoning specifications? That's not really well, it can't, like, you have to have that. That's a requirement, right, for the city. So like, other than that, I'm hearing the public comment. Obviously, there's always board meetings that are held, and public's invited to, provide comment, things like that. But other than that, what types of impact studies are done? Like, what types of things are y'all evaluating for these new subdivisions?
Correct. So that is generally the department head's discretion. So for instance, there was one, I don't know what the status of, I guess it's Meritage now, the Hanshaw, is that moving forward? I haven't heard anything for a while.
It's Meritage, and they purchased it from Elliott, but I don't know much more detail.
So
other than
there's
that.
north of the middle school, there's a fairly large, I don't know how many lots, do you have any idea offhand? I mean, it's over 100 for sure. And so being that, Hanshaw is actually, I think, the busiest north-south connector we have other than Washington Avenue, just because of the middle school traffic. So on that one, the road department said, hey, we need y'all to do a traffic study. So the additional studies are rarely ever going to be our decisions because we don't have the information that Public Works does. But once this gets, and that's why I asked at the beginning too, is it been to all the department heads. So Public Works does do like a water, and I don't know how sophisticated it is. I mean, sometimes, hey, we just know we don't have enough in there. We do have a water model that's kind of maintained by engineering firms, and we can check some of that stuff too. So there will be, anytime that there's like any kind of, we'll call it a red flag from the road department on traffic counts, from the water sewer department or anything like that, the department will initiate the needs for those studies. As far as what time that happens, that usually happens if it gets approved for sketch plat, then it goes into like real engineering, and that's when all that's going to really start to come up. They'll make a preliminary plat submittal, and then that'll be reviewed for everything, and that's, a lot of times that'll be the catalyst for, hey, this road's overloaded or whatever.
I know like the engineering firm is usually leading that study, and they'll liaise,
Correct.
consult with the different departments, or the different public works, fire, et cetera, police departments. Are they required to analyze? You want to say, hey, do you have any comment? Oh, no, I got busy, I had something going on, didn't look at it. I'm curious as to how thorough that process is. Is there a requirement for feedback, or is it just an open door for feedback, kind of like the public comment?
I can't answer that, like how much time and effort. I will say I've been on this board long enough, and we've seen some pretty poignant things come back on certain projects, Hanshaw being the one that just immediately pops in my mind. We had something downtown where they ended up requiring rehab of an existing water line was only 4 inches, and they made it go to 8. I mean, I'm making up numbers now, but, so I mean, I can't answer that other than to say I have seen enough examples sitting up here that, they are reviewing minimally some, hopefully all.
Right. And it's like for certain projects, the permitting phase, everything engineering phase, there's a localized study of impact of things like sewer infrastructure. But I know from like maybe a meeting, or excuse me, like a year or two ago, there was a big emphasis on lack of capacity in our sewer infrastructure. I see all these subdivisions going up, I'm just like,
Oh, yeah, well, so that was, we had an apartment moratorium for a little while, and that was the reason for that was a lot of those were out further east where there was some underserved. But yeah, so they, and actually, I think it may mention it in here, but I know they're redoing the lift station that's on Old CC. No, I can't remember. But anyway, I did see somewhere that they were redoing some sewer. I thought it was in the vicinity here. I won't swear that fact, but yeah, it's done kind of on a per project basis. I mean, they're also looking at it globally, as part of their routine exercises. But yeah, I mean, they do review every project on a per project basis.
okay, well, thank you for that. I just, one other question. Just looking back to like the discussion about the rezoning to M1 of that property for the gentleman's boat fabrication. It's interesting to me that, just hearing the discussion about how the determination was made that it was a mistake in the prior zoning. There was obviously a reason that was carved out. Just through the thought process of evaluating that there was a mistake in a prior zoning designation without understanding, going back and saying, well, why was this area carved out? I don't know if anybody cares to speak to that, but it seemed like a lot of assumptions. It didn't really seem like it's not how I would ask more questions. Well, why was that area carved out? Do we know? It doesn't seem like anybody knew or necessarily cared to find out. It was just kind of a lot of assumptions. Well, it's on the railroad track, the whole rest of the area. I'm sure there was a reason why. Maybe not, but without looking, how would you know?
Yeah, I mean, what you just said, looking at like the neighbor, I mean, it is the only property, this one in particular is the only red property amongst gray along the railroad track. I mean, Nick, you made the motion, don't let me speak too much for you.
So kind of my thought process was, like he had said just now, all along the railroad tracks, and I mean, I'm thinking back to the times when rail service actually delivered things industrial-wise, manufacturing-wise, and you had to actually physically hand unload it. I would have thought that whole district would have been an industrial and a manufacturing, and then everything behind it maybe would be your retail, something along those lines, because it faces a more busy thoroughfare for that sort of operation. Another thought process, like Kevin had said, it's more restrictive to go in one. Yes, could it allow for certain manufacturing processes that the CH wouldn't? But like he also stated, if they built, they could go up 6 floors, or 6 stories. There was a higher threshold. This kind of limits them to a certain threshold where it doesn't affect the daycare as much, to where, say he wanted to build a 80-foot tall building with booms and everything else, it would kind of limit that. So, that was my thought process. As far as going back to see how things were zoned, that would take hours and days probably to figure out, because the county records aren't like, the county and the city records aren't to the extent that we would hope that they would be. I know just from, a lot of research goes into my area is fire department, not necessarily here, but I do know for us, we try to go back and look at certain things when there is, say, a change or a conditional use issued, when it comes to sprinkling a building or something along those lines. And I will say that it is a daunting task for us to find anything.
The research project.
Correct. A lot of times what you come into is, it was close to railroad tracks, it's going to be an M. Or, I mean, that was just kind of the thought process back, because I think you go back probably 60, 70 years, getting to, like, say, the 50s and 60s maybe. there wasn't really a whole lot of zoning to begin with. They just kind of built. They had grocery stores next to.
We also just ran into this, so the city has what's called a comprehensive plan, where we're supposed to review, every 10 years or so, this master plan of the city and where it's going, and what things should be zoned, what, and where, and when, because things do change and character changes. And just looking at this last comprehensive plan, which, was not adopted, the people that wrote that, the people we hired, the consultants, went through and did just broad swaths of rezoning, saying, well, this should be that and that should be this. And the prior comprehensive plan probably did the same thing, where they looked at it and they said, oh, well, yeah, this is the broad swath, should be this zone. However, this company's already here and it's established and rezone it, we're going to mess something up or whatever. So finding out where or why things were zoned is not always the easiest thing, because sometimes when they redo these plans, and there was one done after Katrina, where these large swaths are just rezoned just based on where they are.
Right.
And so it's kind of up to us when somebody does ask for a rezoning to say, all right, well, does this make sense? And like I said, we're planning for the future, that somebody can do this, 10 years from now.
Right.
Is this the right zoning? We're not looking at what they're specifically trying to do, but the actual zoning itself. So when somebody argues, mistaken in the original zoning, I could see how it could happen.
One other thing specific to this property that I didn't come in here thinking about mistake of, but landed on me is, the CH, it's called regional commercial, but the H is kind of unofficially just this highway. A lot of places call it highway commercial. So you're really kind of trying to attract like consumers to a CH zone. Well, they call it a flag lot. Are you familiar with that term? So the property's down here, the highway's up here, and you just have this little flagpole that connects it to it. So I mean, it kind of sets it up for, hey, we have the ability to get down there on our driveway, but you're not going to have any visibility from the highway. So if you're trying to sell knickknacks, I mean, you're
facing.
Right. Yeah, you have no line of sight, so now you don't get the impulse buyers. You have to have people that are just coming straight to you. So that would be another kind of unique to that site as far as was it a mistake in zoning, that something could be considered there too.
We're looking forward, not so much trying to look back and understand why, because there might not be a valid reason.
Right.
A lot of times it was just a stamp.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time to entertain my questions. Thank you.
All right, anybody else in the audience? Any commissioners have anything to add? Item 6, Commissioner Forum.
I just got one question. Does anybody know the status of the comprehensive plan? Are they even still working on it? Have we just set that aside? Are we going to update the old one?
One of those three items.
Maybe we can talk about it. We can talk about it next time.
Yeah, we'll look into it. How about that?
I personally haven't heard anything other than just the hearsay, and I've heard all three of it's dead, it's moving forward, and it's being
Sleeping
revised.
dogs lie.
Yeah, exactly. And then once again, thank you very much to the staff for all the work you do. We know this isn't easy to put on every time, and we appreciate all your hard work.
I concur. Got a motion?
We adjourn.
Motion Marshall. Second Kevin, all in favor? All opposed? We are adjourned. Thank y'all.
I explicitly told you, this does not go on the meeting.
I think that's only the second mistake in reason on this board. I was, and maybe a couple others.
I don't
even know
Michael
what the Board of Aldermen did
decides he's
before
gonna
them. They
go
just
back.
take-
We have like a little group chat. We have a little group chat.
Discussion, and I don't know if there was any action.
On social media, just a little, me, Michael.
Didn't see anything.
Drastically.
I think, right when I was on a term, probably 5 years ago, there was like a whole different set of, what do you call it, codes